good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be calling from. My name is Neda Zuhdi, and I'm the director of Open GovHub. I'm very excited to be hosting our discussion today about how we have been trying to sustain ourselves as leaders and also sustaining our civic partnerships through the pandemic. So I'm so delighted to be having this conversation with three of our dear partners from three different parts of the world. We will be asking them to introduce themselves more in just a minute, but our three speakers for today are Adnan bin Haj Yahya from Elspace, which is the affiliate hub in Tunisia, Harold Sibaha from Crea Lab in El Salvador, and Iyanu Bolarinwa from Civic Hive in Nigeria. We have been working with each of these hubs and many more in our network of 13 affiliate hubs around the world. And all of us are connected with our shared mission to really be meeting places that are helping various different organizations work together to achieve greater social impact. So if this is your first time coming to an Open GovHub event, please feel free to let us know in the chat. But again, our mission is really to be a meeting place that brings together different organizations united by this common mission to help open up governments and empower citizens around the world. And we're so honored to be speaking with people from several different countries today. So as you can see on your screen, we'd love for you to answer just a short poll introduction about where you're calling from today. That gives us an idea of who's in the room. So if you can go ahead and just take a moment to respond to that question, then I will introduce our conversation and open things up. Yeah, let's see. Giving people one more second if you need for responding to the first poll question, and then if we can have the results for that. Okay, great. So it looks like about a quarter of people calling in from Africa, a quarter from North America, and then some from Europe and Asia and South America as well. Fantastic. It's good to have you all here. We have one other poll question to help with the introduction today, which is asking a little bit about people's experience over this past almost year and a half, a very difficult period for many people throughout the pandemic period. But again, we have one other introduction question to do a poll before we jump in. So if we can have people just take a second to answer this question. And of course it is anonymous, but we appreciate hearing your thoughts. So go ahead and vote on that second poll, and then we will continue. Okay. Okay, great. So we can see that the most common response was a 6 out of 10. So somewhat difficult overall experience for those of us in the room today, personally and professionally living through the pandemic. But a few people said it was relatively easy, and then a few people saying it was much harder. So yeah, this is the type of conversation we want to open up today, because all of us I know are very passionate and committed to our work, but we don't often make time to discuss also our personal experiences and how that affects our ability to work together and to be motivated, including through difficult times. So basically, we just have 3 goals for today's conversation. The first goal is to hear from our wonderful civic leaders about their experience sustaining themselves and having personal motivation dealing with the pandemic. The second goal is their experiences about sustaining their organization's work and really adapting to remote working and to new challenges and opportunities. And then the third goal is really to talk about all of our experiences with adjusting how we do partnerships together without having that benefit of face-to-face engagement in many instances during the pandemic and during different lockdown periods. So yeah, we just hope this will be a great reflection to kind of help acknowledge all of the very unique circumstances that we've been living through recently, and then help us think about for the future, post-pandemic, what do we want to see and what do we want to carry forward. So without further ado, yeah, I would love to ask the panelists just to share a 1-minute introduction, your role at your organization, and a little bit about what the organization does. I just want to make sure, hopefully you all can still hear me fine. Harold, I would love to ask you to start first. Harold from CREA Lab in El Salvador, just tell us about your what your organization does and your position there, please. Welcome.
Thank you, and Ada, welcome everyone. Good to be here. I'm Harold Cibaja. I'm the general manager for the CREA Consultores CREA Lab. We are an organization based in El Salvador, and we're a subsidiary of a larger organization, but we're basically operating in El Salvador with supporting the country and supporting partners in achieving a social impact. We work on economic development, governance and democracy, and education. And our hub focus on technology and innovation for social impact.
Great, thank you so much, Harold. Hopefully we have we don't have internet connections, but I'll look for Adnan to join us again in a moment. But Iyanu from Civic, which is run by Budget in Nigeria. If you can go ahead and introduce yourself, we would love to see you on camera if possible too, but just tell us a little bit about your work and your organization. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Nada. My name is Iyanu Luabola. I'm calling all the way from Lagos, Nigeria, and I manage Civic, which is the incubation center for budget, where we try to also create a space where people with like minds can meet up together and share problems and create solutions that solve social problems, right? We've been doing this for the past 4 years now, going to 5 years. And for the past 4 years, we've been able to build tremendous solutions that are moving grounds, even in Nigeria. And all of these solutions, while some don't scale as much as we want, some have been very, very wonderful at the things they have chosen to solve. So, for example, we have the social justice, we have the health, we have we also have education, right? So, which are like the major points where we believe Nigeria is lagging behind, right? And we are providing solutions in those aspects so that we are able to also bridge a level of gap to help us get to where we want to get to as a country. So yes, and also we have a co-working space, which also helps people who do not have the ability to afford their own space as an organization. But we are also very careful with that. We didn't make it like a shop where you can say just anything. It's basically for people that have civic ideas and also small and medium scale enterprises, right? So those are the people that work from our workspace. But right now, I'm not in the space today. I'm at our budget office, which is like the mother office for every part of the organization. So that's where I'm calling from this afternoon, right? So thank you very much, Nada, for the opportunity to be here today.
Yeah, very good. Thank you so much, Iyanu, and welcome again. And let's see, hopefully Adnan can hear us and see us okay. If you can, we're just doing our introductions. If you could introduce your organization and your role in the introduction. Yeah, go ahead, Adnan, if you can hear us.
Sure, yeah, thank you so much. First of all, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Adnan Benhaj. People call me Nino, you can as well. And I'm the executive director. Sure, yeah, thank you so much. Which is the first of
sorry, just a minute, Nino. We're getting
feedback. My different areas.
Sorry, Nino, we're getting feedback since you're in call twice. If you can mute yourself, let's.
Executive Director, founder of L-Space,
Okay,
which is
this is better.
the first innovation hub in Tunisia, and it's
Yes, we were hearing you just a minute ago. If you, let's see, go ahead, Adnan, try to say something now. And if needed, you can turn off video if that helps.
Is this better?
Yes, this was much better. Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so there are two Adnans. Which one is your audio that works better? And that one will mute.
Cool. Yeah, just a minute ago was better. Yep, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, great.
I think we're good now. So you were just saying, yeah, L-Space is the first social innovation hub.
Social innovation hub. Yep, exactly. And we started off in officially in 2015, and we work on different social change issues, from economic development to youth empowerment to open democracy, and of course green, the green economy and environmental issues. So yeah, we started off with a small office in downtown Tunis, and now expanded to have a total of 3 offices still in Tunis, but we do work in Tunisia, the MENA region, and in some instances in sub-Saharan Africa.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
Good. Thank you so much. Okay, well, we're so delighted to have each of you here as well. And I'll also just introduce Ali. Ali is our Atlas Core Fellow from Palestine, who has been working closely with all 13 of the affiliate hub partners over the past year. Ali, feel free to also join in for the discussion at any point, but we're very happy to have Ali supporting this global network. So the first set of questions, again, I want to ask for the group, feel free to respond in any order that you like, is about your individual reflections. How has your experience been as an individual leader, working through the pandemic phase now nearly 1.5 years later? Specifically, how would you summarize your pandemic work life experience in only 3 words? It can be any kind of 3 words or phrases, but just to kind of help start to give us an understanding of what your experience has been. And then I'll follow up with some more questions. But yeah, maybe Adnan, do you want to kick us off?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, it's been, I don't think 3 words can summarize everything, but I would say it's a mix of interesting, challenging, and creative. And it's basically because we are all in these like uncharted territories. I mean, we are all always in these kind of like intersection of many fields, and also we have to coordinate many things, especially working in the social sector, from government to private to social to people in community level work, and we're always in that area with a total need of flexibility and adaptability. And so yeah, especially like for my case, I would say there are 2 main changes, or let's say modes in how the pandemic affected me personally and professionally. So first, last year, we, like myself and some of my team members, did not have any day of quarantine because we were working day and night in the fab labs we have with 3D printers to produce the face masks in support of the local health authorities. However, this year turned out to be more challenging because we tried to we took like a break for some time to focus on our community and back to our mission, back to our roots during that like very like new thing. However, this year it's basically trying to keep that work in addition to continuing our programs and our growth and our development. So that's how it's been developed.
Yeah, responding to new work and new social needs in addition to the work that you've already been doing. Yeah, of course. Thank you. So Harold, what would you say are kind of 3 words or phrases that help describe your working experience throughout the pandemic?
Well, if I have to summarize in 3 words what the pandemic meant to me and probably to my team was closeness, productivity, and effectiveness. You know, in terms of time. At the beginning, this was we didn't believe this was going to take this long. Initially, we thought this was going to pass quick. We didn't take action immediately. But all of a sudden, you know, we just started innovating and started working together. And the pandemic actually brought us closer. It really kind of reduced borders and time, continents. You know, just we was okay just having a meeting 4 hours difference anytime. You know, just got us closer to the world, and I found that we became more effective, and we were ready to use the tools accessible to get us closer and more effective, but we were not taking advantage of those. So in my case, personally, it was easy. It was good. That doesn't necessarily apply to everyone in the team.
Yeah, thank you, Harold. Yep, very good. And Ianu, go ahead.
All right. So the reason why I'm switching off my video is because of the bandwidth, right?
Yep.
It keeps making the video unstable,
Sure.
and I'm trying. I don't want to go off the call, right? So basically, for us, number one, there were lockdowns, and the lockdowns affected all parts of businesses, right? Because most especially for us, that was running a working space. A lot of people dropped their memberships, and you know, a lot of people now got used to working from home, right? As long as they could provide themselves internet and power, and you know, there was lockdown, and people didn't want to lose the steam they were coming with at the beginning of the year, right? So basically, they just left, all right, and although right now we have the whole place filled up as I speak to you, everybody's back because you know, internet is quite expensive to operate individually, so people still prefer to come back to the co-working space. But how did we survive during the pandemic period? So it's a question I think it really deserves an answer. So I would say we're lucky a little bit because budget still caters for most of the expenses of the hive itself, you know, and because at the end of the day, if you look at it as towards how much you're making at the end of the year, it doesn't pay the salaries of all the staffs working at Civic Hive, right? So what we've done is we still leverage on budget, right? But even at the period of the lockdown and at period of the whole when the whole pandemic was really on rampage, right? We had some new projects that were running, and we couldn't afford to fail in those projects. So what we devised or what we realized was that we could work from anywhere, right? At the end of the day, just to make sure that the work gets done, right? And we're able to imbibe the culture of checking on upon ourselves as towards, okay, you have a certain deliverables, and what's up with that? And if you have challenges, right, it's easy to also reach out to other people who are part of the team, who could also help to also help you with that particular challenge at that particular point in time. So basically, we also realized that we have to innovate because you know, if we don't innovate, we'll die, right? So we made sure we devised ways that we could still reach out to part of our community members that did not leave their membership, right? So we kept carrying them along to say, you know what, it's unprecedented times, and we would this thing will end very soon, because the way we were not talking from a place of having solutions in our hands, but we're talking from a place of having hope, right? And also believing that you know, we are very resilient people, and it shows in our way of life, and we also just believe that we would be able to beat the virus and the pandemic as a whole in a very, very short period of time. So that was how we're able to sustain ourselves and maintain the name Civic Life even after the whole lockdown. And if you look at Nigeria today, it doesn't look like we have any pandemic in our hands anymore, because even if you check the NCDC website, you will see that the cases have slowed down a lot. And last 2 weeks now, we did not record any case at all in Nigeria, right? So it just shows that we are gradually moving out of the whole pandemic as a country, right? And people are very confident in doing their business as before. But to be safe is better than to be sorry. So what we do is to still make sure that all the rules that have been given by the NCDC, which is, by the way, the national body for all the pandemic disease and all kind of disease you can have in the country, that like you have the CDC in the US, right?
Yeah.
So all the rules that they give, we make sure we keep to them, so that we are able to also maintain the sanity of our space, and also be able to understand that we don't want the government to lock our space down, right? So all of that is what we put into consideration, and yes, it's been helping so far, and that's how we're back on our feet. And even right now, we've even increased the prices of the place because the economic realities are very, 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 very bad at the moment, right? So everything has gone to the roof. But even to our surprise, despite increasing the prices of the place, people are still there, right? And they're still willing to pay for the services, and we keep improving. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I think some of the words that I heard from you, Ianu, too, to summarize is survive, right? To keep the organization alive, but to innovate and to keep hope and resilience. Definitely, these are some key principles. I know in the chat as well, Ola has shared, who's another member in our network, change, innovate, adapt. Of course, this is something we've all had to do. And I think those of us who accepted it earlier were better off, right? If accepting that there's uncertainty and these are very unusual times, as you were saying, Adnan, and the more that we are open to making those changes quickly and learning quickly, the better. If I had to answer the same question, what are the 3 words to describe my experience? It would probably be Zoom, 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 which is probably many people's experience, but definitely I think we're starting to settle now into a different way of working for the long term with our own reopening here in Washington, DC. So we can talk more about this, about our organizations in just a minute. But before we do that, I want to ask one more personal question, which is for each of you to share what would be your kind of #1 source of inspiration and motivation that has helped you to stay productive and to stay focused while working through such crazy times. Yeah, please, anyone, go ahead and feel free to also respond to each other's comments.
Well, I can start. My motivation actually came really from work. It's just at this point with the pandemic, despite I was being at home, there was not much things to do out, or just it really kind of got us closer in terms of the family. And also my motivation came from seeing the team, how the team, got together, and it was as easy as we just, another day of business, and so that was a motivating drive for me, because, we just really didn't suffer what this could have meant. Of course, there was this insecurity, and you didn't know what was going to happen, and we're concerned about the size of the pandemic and the impact. But we were lucky to stay at home, and so the motivations came from connecting with others, to people we haven't seen in years because of different countries, and doing those just talking to friends, at night. But the team played a very strong role in keeping us motivated.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I can contribute a little bit. So yeah, for motivation, I think a couple things we've been working on for the past couple of years. We're seeing results now, and that's just like basically a new reminder and a pleasant surprise for most of times. Like that, like our work now may not pay off today or tomorrow. It's gonna pay off maybe in a couple months or a couple years, and that's why it's basically a reminder of why we exist as a hub and as a team. And the other thing is basically to see our entrepreneurs or the youth we supported on national TV, or like they're successful with their projects and they're having also impacting other people. And that's basically just like uh, warms my heart a little bit, and just like puts a smile on everyone's faces. Just basically a reward of the impact we're trying to do. It's still small. It will always be small, but like at least we'll see some positive impact in the community.
Yeah, thank you. Yanu, would you like to jump in? We may have a connection issue, but I'll just share quickly as well. My own answer to the question is similar to what you just shared, Adnan, which is like I get a lot of personal motivation from working with amazing partners like each of you and all of the hubs in our network, and just really getting to see people again grow and have impact in so many different parts of the world on such important social issues. So I think that can be very personally motivating. And I see some comments and questions coming into the chat as well, which is great. We can get to those in just a minute here, but yeah, let's, unless anyone wants to share more about your personal motivations or experiences, we can now shift to talking a bit more about your organizations, right? How have you been leaders of your organizations, trying to lead your teams and your partners through difficult and unpredictable times? Yeah, Yanu, maybe you can get us started again if you want to share about personal motivation, and then also the team culture that you've been trying to support to keep people connected.
Yeah, so part of what we discovered was that we needed to keep people abreast and let them understand that they belonged somewhere, right? So we were more like motivating them to let them understand that work doesn't end, and also they need to take care of themselves, and also make sure that they are safe at this time. But even for us, it was the period where I could say we had so much burnout, right? Because we were always like seated in front of the laptop, always working at almost all times. And, because just like Arada said, there was very little or nothing to do outside. So you were almost always inside, right? So that was really, really a source of a lot of burnout. But what we discovered at that point is we needed to start sharing skipping ropes, right? So work for some time, skip for some time, so that you don't have your disk shifted, right? Because it also became a very major health crisis amidst guys that were using computers at all times. We had started having emergencies of your blood clotting and your disk shifting and all of that. So, but we just had to make sure that we let people understand the danger. Right now, it's even there's a particular quote we have flying around right now that says, "Sitting down for too long is the new smoking," right? Which is like, if you're sitting down for too long, you're causing as much damage as you're causing to your system, as much as when you also smoking, right? So, which means that we need to get up, right? We need to get up. We need to make sure that we are right now. Personally, I do evening joggings, right? Which I jog for like 25 kilometers. Go as far as 2 hours before coming back home, right? Because I realized that I checked my blood pressure, it was getting all high, and part of the first thing they said was that you need to exercise more, right? So we just need to. Work will continue if we die all of a sudden, right? So I think that's enough. It's enough to motivate every one of us to be able to take care of our health and make sure that we are even fit to do that work when it comes again next time. So that's been my own personal experience, and also being able to make sure that I'm putting everything in the right perspective. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, just even it sounds simple, but reminding people to take care of their basic health and needs and to exercise and so on is really important to keep a team, motivated and productive. What would you add to that, Harold and Adnan, about kind of the teamwork and team culture and how you've tried to support that?
Do you want me to go first?
Let's have Harold or Adnan jump in, and then
Okay.
but you can all respond to each other, of course. So yeah.
In terms of the culture and the organization, I think it was easy for us because we are a very horizontal organization and very flexible. I'm not a leader who's on top of everyone, checking every minute. We work by results. All of us are very professional in that sense, and all self-motivated. So that was a plus for us. Another quality is, is very innovative in terms of we learned we had access. We were already using Zoom and ShareFile. But we were not taking advantage of it as much as we could. So in that sense, just started innovating. It was just great in terms of working with partners, just because just some of the partners are used to work on a document, and you send the document on email, or you just are building this together. So we started to use Google to share our documents and start working on the documents together. So it was a learning experience for some of our partners, and we learned from others too. When despite all these, when I said, it was easy for me, not necessarily easy for the rest of the team, it wasn't just because we all had this flexibility and this trust and the same tools. But some of our colleagues, they had to have kids at home, they had to deal with issues, just getting them to shower, just getting them to connect to their virtual lessons and Wi-Fi, and do meals. At the same time, they had all the stress of the working environment, and but everyone kind of did their best, and we as a team kind of move forward. And right now, we're still working. Everyone is working from home, 100%. Just sometimes it's just, and we all face challenges, of course, and that's probably the biggest challenge is, it's so hard to just put the laptop aside and do something else, but it's the long hours. Sometimes, we're still at 8 at night, and sometimes, finish something at 1, and all of us at 1 in the morning. Not a great practice, but, it was a deadline with some changes. And so, that motivation is there, and we were connected. So in that sense, I thought the pandemic really kind of taught us a very strong lesson in terms of the organization. And we were lucky because in terms of, we were ready to sign the contract to just get the space for a hub and do renovations and all that when the pandemic came. So we didn't have to face that many of our tenants for the hub, decided to just cancel their contracts or just go home, and we were just gonna. So we didn't have to suffer through that. So it gave us a lot of time for reflection, and our focus and ideas changed to go virtual initially. So in that sense, it was positive. It was time was great. And for us, I think it was in a way a lot of changed a lot of paradigms. If you would have asked me, Neda, how do you see yourself working for 13, 15 months from home as a team?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to said to you how effective and how positive and how good it was. But it's just because of the team we are and of our internal culture, and also because we all are very creative and innovative. And that really kind of, it was great for us in that sense. I don't think it would have been great in another setting. Of course, the field work gets a bit difficult, but we all adapt to do that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you, Harold. Yeah, I like what you said earlier about how the team is all focused on results and is motivated. So that you can give people flexibility to work with difficult schedules and also to be creative in how they achieve those goals. Like when you have an agreement on what the vision looks like for success, then everyone can take their own path to achieve that on the team. Thank you, that's great. I'm going to ask Adnan to share, and also after that, Ali, if you can go ahead and share some interesting data that we found from our survey of the affiliate hubs too about this question with burnout as well. So.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. So I think burnout is becoming it. Like we talk about it as if a headache, just a random headache, but it's just the tip of the iceberg of other stuff. However, like what we've been trying to do, or like we tried, and it's kind of successful for the team. It's basically three things. One, which is more professional development opportunities, like learning plans and career development plans, which is a little rare to find in Tunisian organizations.
Yeah.
It is costing us like some extra hours of employee time, but we're seeing more efficiency in their work.
Yeah.
So that's one.
Yeah.
The second is basically more diverse and more often team building activities. So our team grew from 5 people to 15 in less than 18 months. So that's like, a lot of people.
That's crazy in any time, but
in.
especially in a pandemic, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So we had to figure out like online and offline team building activities, and some of those, and also we encouraged activities where me, for example, as an executive director, or like the co-founding team, are not involved in these activities, or do not intentionally participate or get invited actually to these team activities.
Yeah.
It's just basically to encourage more team coherence and bonding.
Yep.
And those included camping trips. Now we're planning to have a bike trail parade very soon. So these more and diverse typically. And the third one, we tried so hard financially to give an increase in this overall salaries, but it was not very possible. However, we tried to figure out benefits for employees, for the staff, and that we can see that that's helping a lot.
Yeah.
And at least it's lowering some general frustrations with the local situation and the government situation.
Yeah, thank you. That's really helpful and very practical advice for any leader, any executive director to think about. Yeah, absolutely. Because I think, again, for many of us, we did experience this time of being much more productive and even working more than we would if we were commuting and so on, but also being at higher risk for burnout. So yeah, Ali, if you can go ahead and share, we did some surveying of all of the 13 affiliate hubs about burnout levels and wanted to share the comparison with you, what we saw now compared to 1 year ago.
Yes, hi everyone. As Nada said, that we made assessment for the burnout level for the participant in our Global Affiliate Hub program. And so we made the assessment at the beginning of the program, and we reassessed the burnout level again after about 1 year of the program. So the result was divided equally between improved and declined and neutral to be as the same level. It's somehow weird, but it's also good that we have 1/3 improved their burnout level. I think that's because these kind of hubs find a new opportunities, and their staff found new professional growth opportunity by implementing a new project. Maybe it's related to the pandemic itself, or maybe not, but it's still like they still have to grow, and that's make them feel more appreciated and more safe at their work. The other side, which we have also 1/3 declined this burnout level. I'm quite sure that the reason is the pandemic, because mainly these hubs delayed their plan and delayed their launching for these spaces. So that's make their staff working in multitasks, and they are not feeling secure working at their hubs, and not feeling that they are achieving a specific goal. So they feel they are not appreciated, and maybe they are doing a lot of effort without a clear result, because they keep delaying what they are planned in the origin. This is the results, but we hope that we participating in improving the burnout level, or at least keeping it as it for the second third of our group in the Global Affiliate Hub.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, thank you, Ali. Very good. So again, we invite all of you listening to today's conversation to keep sharing your questions as we are moving into our last phase of the discussion for today. But I'll go ahead and ask the question from Ola here, which is a great one. You know, again, all of us had to make so many changes and to be very innovative during this period because we were dealing with totally new circumstances. So what do you think is one very useful change that you made during this pandemic that you would like to continue for the long term in your work? And Ola, do please feel free to share. You can unmute yourself or in the chat if you want to add any more to your question. But I think that the question again is, what was one of the useful benefits that you got from making a change during the pandemic in your work? And again, anyone is welcome to respond.
I would say, and before, you know, I just didn't get the question very clearly last time in terms of, I just want to go back a bit to the motivation with our team. You know, we continue to celebrate our birthdays together. We send, deliver food and have breakfast together sometimes. And, you know, we do all sorts of dynamics sometimes to just, because we even got a new personnel within this period, people we met like months later. So in that sense, you know, we were able to keep close and motivated. It was not a financial benefit, but we kept close. In terms of your question about what I wouldn't change right now, I think the pandemic actually made us go global. You know, I just, in terms of partnerships, in terms of office, you know, some of the meetings are at our office in Washington, I just didn't attend because everyone was sitting at a conference room, you know, 20 people, and I was probably the only one on the screen. And so it's hard to, people just don't feel like, you know, you're part of the conversation too. Sometimes it's hard to hear what everybody's saying. Now, kind of the game was in a level in a way, you know. It's just, it doesn't matter where you are, you're all the same, at the same, have the same opportunity to talk or to listen. So in that sense, I wouldn't change that. I think it got us closer, and we should continue that. Also, the flexibility probably in terms of time. We're just ready to open offices again soon. I'm questioning myself too, you know, just we wanna go full. All of us go back to the office full time, or just some days so you can work from home. That flexibility, I think, we're going to keep, and all what in terms of the digital transformation, because still we're not there, but the way we moved into it accelerated a digital transformation for all of us, and at different levels, and that's here to stay. I wouldn't go in shorts to work. That's something I would love to keep, but I think the formality also in terms of that is probably going to change, and it's good to have that.
Yeah. Allowing people to be a bit more themselves in the workplace. Yeah, absolutely. That's thank you, Harold. That's very helpful. Yeah, very good. Let's see here. Iyanu, do you want to jump in at this point? I also have a few other questions I want to share. Yeah, thinking next about your partnerships and how you work with others.
Yeah, so for me, I think, well, personal thing I would say is that keep jogging, right? Make sure you exercise. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, and what I've also seen is that there are some meetings that we don't have to be there physically to actually get things done, right? We save the time, and we're able to achieve more doing Zoom, just like you said. Yeah. So, but that also has its own danger, right? It limits human interaction, and but you just try and find a balance to it. Right? So that's just it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, very good. Well, the last part again of this conversation is thinking about our partnerships. So all of us work globally, and as you've just said, Harold, there's a big benefit to more digital and remote connection to support those global partnerships. But tell us a little bit more maybe about, for any of you, how did you find a creative way to sustain an existing partnership, which you already had? Or how did you create a new partnership during this period? And how, just to help us all think about how can we work with partners effectively, even if we can't always be meeting with them face to face and building that trust in person.
I can start. So yes, it's partnership wise and as well, like we can say partnerships and business development because they all work together and in parallel. So basically, it's been not as hard as we've anticipated since the pandemic happened. So our first fear was basically, so we had the first lockdown March 2020, and we said, okay, we're gonna stop, or we're gonna pause on every project we have, and we're gonna focus on our community and our immediate community and far community to see what are their needs and how we can support. And from there, we basically began, like, we relayed that information to all our partners, and a lot, like, every one of them agreed with our vision in that certain time. But this also, like, the tip number one is basically communication and transparency about what is happening and what we're dealing with on a local level and how are we moving. And then, so in sustaining partnerships, like existing partnerships, a lot of communication is happening, a lot of patience from both sides is happening as well. And for developing new partnerships, it's basically continuing our work like we used to. Just like, this is what we do. If you want to join, want to participate, partner up for more impact, let's do it. So we kept on doing that, and that resulted into more people appreciating our work and our way of doing things. That's how we basically, we're not like seek new partnerships. It just like came along with discussions, with joint events, or like recommendations and networks. So, and building new partnerships also required, especially with USAID, it was a difficult learning curve for us, especially with the requirements and everything. But we sense that people were communicative enough, responsive enough, and also understanding of where we're coming from, and also, I mean, and also like yeah, it's our eternal struggle, I guess. How can we advance social innovation in a bureaucratic system? So those like basically like we were caught in the clash between these two nouns, let's say. But it's been very interesting and a little taxing for the management team, myself included, because we don't know like if this partnership is gonna fly, if it's not gonna fly, like what's the impact on the organization? Are we gonna survive? Are we gonna be able to pay rent next year or not? So those are all like considerations that are always simmering, but still like with more partnerships and especially more communication with partners was very helpful in having like a general understanding and mutual understanding between all the parties involved, including our team and theirs. So yeah, this is from our side.
Yeah, that's very helpful. And I think at some point, maybe you should write an article or a book even, Adnan, about that topic. Because like you said, yeah, it's a really fundamental challenge to promote more innovative culture within a big bureaucracy, which has nothing to do with the pandemic, but is nonetheless obviously part of your experience this past year. So very good. Harold and Iyanu, go ahead. And we're just getting towards the end here. So I'll start to wrap us up. Yeah.
No, it's just building partnerships, especially in other countries. You know, I never thought we could just do achieve what we have achieved at this point without having to travel to a country. Sometimes, you know, it's just you're putting together a proposal in terms of a specific topic in a specific country, and of course, you know, you're thinking, okay, I have to travel. It's going to be probably so place to build the partners, the alliance, you know, or the subs, you know. I was able to put together a proposal for in Colombia for Venezuela migrants, and we developed 10 partners, all through the pandemic, you know, and we were just close, you know, relations were there, and I didn't have to meet them face to face or travel there, you know, in terms of expenses. That was much cheaper. So, and also through Open Cup Hub and the grant we got, you know, the way we built this partnership with our Chile partners, Fundación Multitudes, you know, just dealing. We got to give my team that in other occasions we didn't have had the chance to travel, you know, and with the Fundación Multitudes team, and you know, that build that, strengthen our relations, got to know each other better and see all the strengths and how we supported each other. So in that sense, I think I think has been positive. Of course, you miss the personal interaction sometimes, and always travel is good, and you get to see other things, especially you know, at more informal settings. But it didn't stop us, and it saved us time. And I would just I wouldn't change that in a way. I think I'll just be a combination of virtual and travel for some of the partnerships, and the fact that we're not just having to wait for somebody to come, you know, locally in the office to come just to meet, and you save time, you start events at time, you end the events at time.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, thank you. Iyanu, go ahead, and then I'll ask you each final question just to close us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Nada. And yeah, so I already said a lot, and Adnan also said a lot, but you know, at this time, there was a lot of information overflow, overdrive, and you could easily get lost, right? So basically, my own way and way I've also advised and encouraged people around me to keep up the relationships is make sure you are open to communications, right? Don't get lost in all the overdrive of the information you have around you, and also don't get lost in too much work and you just forget the human element, right? And it's very, very tricky. It's a tricky situation that we can just miss out on very important stuffs that we need to actually do to achieve what we actually wanted to get, and maybe where we're going to in the next future, right? So basically, my advice was, keep the communications open, keep the relationship open, and also try as much as possible to reach out to people. And you're building a community, right? You're building a community of people, and also you're building a community of persons that you can always fall back to if you have challenge and all of that. So don't make it like all about yourself. Try to also make sure that you're giving back to that immediate community that you are trying to also build. So basically, and also it's not about what you want from them. You can also try to make sure you ask about what you can do for them, right? Just to make sure that it's not a parasitic relationship. It's more of like a symbiotic, where everybody is able to contribute to make sure that it's growing, right? So, and it's we know that people can be very, very overwhelmed, right? You're scared of you don't know when this pandemic will end, you don't know when this lockdown will end, and a lot of people went into depression. So there was a lot of support groups and all of that. But some people were a beacon of light just to shine for others to be able to get through the very, very dark period. So yes, we've been able to maintain it through all those ways that I've mentioned. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Iyanu. Yeah, remember the humans behind the work, and don't get too lost in the work. That's a very, very important lesson for all of us. So just for us to close here now, I will ask each of you to share just one phrase, one sentence really, with a takeaway that you've gotten from our discussion today. It can be a new idea or something you just want to apply more in your work. And then I'll share just 3 takeaways which I've heard and learned from each of you, and send everyone off. But again, thank you so much to all of you who are listening from around the world. We will be sharing a recording of this event for anyone who may have missed it. And we hope to stay in touch and keep this conversation going, because so many of us work so hard and we don't take enough time to pause and reflect with each other. So I'm really grateful for the discussion today. So again, just one phrase, one concept that you're taking away from this session. Harold, would you like to go first? It's a tricky one, but go ahead.
It's a tricky one, and I probably really, we can talk about a phrase, we learn from each other, but I just the webinar, helped me shorten distances, as I have said, just here with my colleague from Tunisia, just we do very similar work in many senses, so that's I like to explore potential, work for the future, and this is what if I have to stay with something, it's just we can be closer, we just
Yeah. No, I like that a lot. Thank you. Iyanu, go ahead. Yeah, just one phrase or one sentence.
All right. One phrase, one sentence. Try not to get lost in the work, right? Yeah. Just make sure you keep up with the emails at the back of the work. So
yeah, ourselves, our teammates, and our partners. Exactly. It applies for all 3 levels. Thank you so much. And finally, Nino, Radhan, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this will sound like a repetition of what Iyanu said, but it actually speaks to me a lot and to my team as well. It's basically remembering that we're human and we need to take care of ourselves. And work is never ending. So yeah.
Exactly. Yep, that's perfect. This is great. And I've been taking some notes. I really appreciate this again. With Open GovHub events, we always like to end with 3 takeaways just for the audience. And so again, just quickly, 3 takeaways which I heard. First of all, for ourselves, remind ourselves of our personal motivation and make sure we take care of ourselves and keep jogging. For our teams, remind our teams that they belong somewhere, they belong in part of a community, and give them benefits during such a difficult time. And you can be very creative about professional development and team building activities and so on. And then finally, my 3rd takeaway about our partnerships is to really communicate openly and frequently with partners, especially during unprecedented times, so that we can anticipate and avoid any challenges by being proactive with open communication. And again, just to be flexible with each other and remember the humans behind the work. So thank you all so much. This was a really, really fantastic discussion. If we can give ourselves a virtual round of applause. Again, we will be sharing the materials and do please share this with any colleagues maybe who couldn't join and reach out to the OpenGov Hub's Affiliate Hubs program at any time. If you're interested to start a hub, if you're interested to support our amazing partners who are here and in 12 countries around the world. And we hope to also host any of you here in Washington, DC at any time. So thank you again, everyone. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day and do please stay in touch and take care of yourself.
Thank you. And the link to the Global Affiliate Hub website is also in the chat, and we'll be sure to share everything via email and later on YouTube. Thanks so much for being here too. It's just behind the scenes, but wanted to say thanks as well.
Yeah,
Take care.
Thank
Okay.
you, Bella.
Thank you,
Bye.
Isabella. Thank you. Bye.